Following tonight, the mayor of Seattle is facing growing pressure to reverse course on her most significant public safety decision since taking office. Mayor Katie Wilson paused the expansion of city-owned public surveillance cameras.
A network of 62 cameras monitored by police have been watching parts of Seattle since last year. And the footage they capture has assisted in hundreds of criminal investigations.
I know that cameras can be, have been, and will be useful tools to solve crime in Seattle and in countless other cities across the world.
And today, City Council member Bob Kettle accused the mayor of violating the law by not turning on new cameras that were approved last year.
But Wilson has said she fears the cameras could be hacked by ICE or the Trump administration to target people seeking abortions. Kettle says there is zero evidence to support those fears.
Has there been a subpoena? Has there been an intrusion from any entity, whatever it may be? Not in ours.
The Downtown Seattle Association sent a letter to the Seattle City and King County councils urging them to invest more in mental health treatment and public safety, citing out-of-control shoplifting, property damage, assaults, and shootings.
There's 22 of them. As of yesterday, they've now all been installed. They could be turned on at a moment's notice unless the mayor changes her mind.
Why progressive cities can't have nice things. Washington outrage grows as $456,000 Seattle restroom project. Yes, $456,000 for 4 toilets and 4 sinks for 1 year. It faces early vandalism. Is this a shocker? No. Why progressive cities can't have nice things. It didn't even last 2 weeks is the headline. Got to do this one. You know why? I stalled out on doing this one. This story's been out a handful of days because I'm waiting for these toilets to get destroyed because that's happening. Let's get into it. Here we go. This is such not a shocker. Outrage grows. Be like if, in any Skid Row area, like Skid Row in LA, if you took a $20 bill and laid it down on the sidewalk, would you be shocked if it was there an hour later? Yeah, you would. Why? Because you expect it to get picked up by whomever walks by. Whomever walks by on this facility here, they're gonna destroy this toilet. It's a free restroom. So City of Seattle is prepping for the World Cup. It's gonna be epic. We're gonna have some stories. We're gonna have some podcasts. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell because we're gonna have some times. Oh, and by the way, this is the last podcast you will ever see with this background. It's the last one. We're moving the studio. Be good times. Just after I record this, we're gonna break her down, move it. Make sure we get all the wiring and stuff hooked up. Let's keep going with this story, though. So not a shocker that this happened right here. And, the news story really blew up that the restroom had been destroyed. The real news story is that only a window was broken and they fixed it same day. My son Kieran walked by and he said, Ed, it wasn't broken. Well, they got out there and they fixed it because they knew the optics on this would they would not be good. So, Katie Wilson, you can see her here with she's got a big, gigantic set of scissors and she's cutting toilet paper for these toilets. You can see the free restroom and then the free restroom in the background here in the broken window. And she literally at this press conference, she said something to the effect of, we're focusing on priority number 1 and priority number 2 with this project. It was actually kind of funny, but when you spend $500,000 on 4 toilets and they immediately get destroyed, what did you think would happen? What did you expect would happen? This is why progressive cities can't have nice things. Outrage is growing in Washington after Seattle's new public restroom near Lumen Field was damaged shortly after installation, with one of the solar-powered units found with a shattered window just weeks into the program. The real story is it took weeks for this to happen. Now, somebody's going to absolutely thrash one of these units. It could be happening right now because the lunatics in Seattle that are homeless are whacked out of their mind on drugs. And that's the kind of thing they do, is just absolutely destroy public restrooms because they have no regard for anything other than their own addiction. And, somebody probably just walked by and took something off the street, and because Lord knows there's always a bunch of garbage sitting around, took some, brick they found, threw it through the window, or somebody got wildly upset because they're stuck inside and bashed the window out. Incident has drawn attention nationally, because the restrooms are part of a city effort to expand downtown sanitation ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Seattle spent $450, didn't even last 2 weeks. Stories spread widely on social media platforms, including X, where posts about the damaged restroom quickly gained thousands of views and sparked hundreds of comments. Like, this is not news. This is just daily Seattle. Daily Seattle. Any of the public restrooms you go to at parks, they're invariably closed. Why? Because somebody destroyed them. Somebody yanked a toilet out of its bolts. Right? Somebody destroyed the door. Somebody destroyed the lock. Somebody tore out the window. Literally, they're whacked out animals on drugs. It circulated alongside broader debate about Seattle's spending on public infrastructure and the cost of the pilot program. What my thought was, why didn't you wait until like the day or two before installing this bad boy, a day or two before the World Cup gets here? Because then you're going to have it flooded with tourists, right? Flooded with tourists. And the likelihood of some whacked out nut job being down there is going to be much less because the tourists are going to push out all the homeless. Now, one of the other big stories was that Katie Wilson was going to build 500 new housing units and get all of the homeless in the World Cup area, the Lumen Field area, going to shoo them all away. We're going to, sweep them under the carpet. What homeless? Seattle's clean. It's nice. It's great. But this was that story that was like, you can't have nice things. Images and videos shared online show a restroom unit near Lumen Field with a broken window panel. Damaged unit was taken offline after it was reported, while other units in the area remained open. There's 3 other units, and you got to have an app called The Throne, or a QR code or something. You text something to use the restroom. So they want to track who's in there. Clearly, they didn't track who did this because otherwise, you'd have that mugshot. And in Seattle, we're not doing any of that because things get destroyed in Seattle. They just get ruined. Graffitied up, destroyed. That's what we're doing. Taxpayers' dollars at work. It's perfect. Images and video showed online a restroom. Damaged unit was taken offline after it was reported. Restrooms are part of a monitored system that uses QR code access, time limits. You get 10 minutes. That's pretty quick. For some people, that's pretty. For some people, that's all you need. And remote maintenance tracking. Okay, how's that going? According to My Northwest, the pilot program includes 4 solar-powered restroom units. Pioneer Square, 2026 FIFA World Cup. The city partnered with Throne Labs. Throne. I see what they did there. It's a Throne to operate the facilities, which are designed for quick maintenance response and regular monitoring. Well, they're going to need it. They're going to need that. Officials said the damaged unit was repaired and back to service the same day. City will evaluate performance, durability, public feedback before deciding on future expansion. Seattle spent what? $750,000 on other toilets? And they got so hammered, they literally sold them for pennies on eBay. Because Seattle can't have public toilets, even ones that are made out of absolute stainless steel. And you can't do this and you can't do that. You know what I mean? They try and make them bomb-proof. These people are animals. They are animals. I mean, they literally act like animals on the street. So the fact that somebody, destroyed a window, that's normal. Reaction online was largely critical and politically charged. Do you think? It's because let's just spend more and more money and we'll hope this works out, because that's always worked before, with many users focusing on the project's cost and questioning how public funds were spent in Washington. Yeah. A lot of us question, hey, what's going on? It's okay, though. They're going to tax the millionaires, but everybody else, they won't tax. Right. Some commenters mocked the price tag and compared the units to cheaper portable toilets, like Honeybuckets. Man, some of the Honeybuckets I have seen in Seattle, they are rough. Honeybuckets over at Chop Chaz, some of those were just absolutely not good. While others describe the situation as poor planning or wasteful spending. Well, I don't blame the city of Seattle. Hey, we've got the World Cup coming. Let's get some toilets in there, all right? $456,000. It's a big city. Of course it's going to cost $500,000. Doesn't everything cost at least that, if not $750,000? Doesn't matter what it is. Oh, that light pole over there, that's $2 million, right? Because you got to have all these bozos in line making a decision. Yeah, let's put that light pole in. $2 million. Boom, gone. Others use the incident to criticize Seattle leadership more broadly, arguing the city priorities are misaligned or poorly managed. That's not the case. You need these toilets in there because you're going to have an influx of thousands of people. You need to have that capacity. It's just that in other cities, this wouldn't happen. They wouldn't get destroyed like that, right? Wouldn't happen. But the fact that it happens in Seattle, everybody's like, wow, shocker. Some called for greater transparency and oversight in public spending. Why bother? Let's just chalk it up to this is what happens in Seattle because you got a bunch of whacked out drug addicts, because nobody does anything about anything. Nobody does anything about crime. The fact that they got out there and they repaired it kind of tells you everything. Oh, this isn't going to look good. Already broken before the World Cup starts. World Cup starts on June 11th, maybe June 11th or 12th. I think there's going to be some phenomenal stories coming out of it. I really do. There are also sarcastic and humorous reactions, with users joking about luxury toilets. Ribbon cutting ceremonies. We're focusing on number 1 and number 2. How quickly the facilities in Washington were damaged after installation. It took a couple of weeks. That's the real story. That's a win for Seattle. That's a win. Seattle commenters contrasted the new restrooms with ongoing concerns about street-level sanitation, saying the investment felt disconnected from visible conditions in the city. Correct, but if you got these things right outside the Lumen Field, know what I mean? Go a little further out, yeah, you're going to have some absolute trash, and it's just the way it is. It's a dirty, progressive city with a lot of homeless that are whacked out of their mind on drugs. And this is how that goes, period. Whether you have the World Cup there or not. Overall, the incident has turned the restroom pilot into a flashpoint for debate over public spending in Washington, with attention now focused on whether the project will prove durable enough to justify its cost and long-term rollout plans. They will have to remodel this endless times. My Northwest. Public Pioneer Square. This is where some of the grittiest homelessness occurs. It's kind of it's that old part of Seattle, downtown, where you've got kind of a big park area in the middle. It's just rough. I talk about going to the Central Tavern, which is right basically there, and you get out of your car and you open up your door and goes, oh yeah, that's human. Actually, you get out this way if you're driving. Yeah, that's human urine. Oh, right. Yeah, human. We're in Seattle, folks. I mean, might be Portland, could be San Fran. Who knows? LA, not sure. Yeah, we're in Seattle. That's kind of how you know, right? That's how you know. Council member says Seattle mayor is violating law over CCTV cameras ahead of the World Cup. That is the major story. The toilet's getting destroyed. I'm doing this one because I believe even before the World Cup happens, one of those toilets is literally going to get destroyed, and not the way you think it's going to get, where it just. But in the meantime, our mayor is refusing to turn on the CCTV systems, 22 cameras that are in this area, because ICE might come in, take that information, and deport some criminal illegals. The problem there? Yeah, there is no problem there. It's Seattle. That's why you can't have nice things, because you're going in the wrong directions. Hey, if ICE deports a criminal illegal, isn't that a win? Isn't that a win? No. Sanctuary city like Seattle that's so progressive, that's so tolerant of just nonsense. That's why people are lined up with the story on the toilet. Oh, look what happened. Yeah. Look what happened. Well, what happens if Seattle has a major event? Well, after it happens, Katie Wilson will turn on the cameras, because then the credible threat will have happened. Let's see. After doesn't really help you, because then the footage isn't there. You need those cameras rolling to record what's going on. And then this whole thought of a credible threat, if a credible threat had been found and, secured, you wouldn't have things like Boston City Marathon bombing, right? You wouldn't have the Oklahoma City bombing, because you would have disabled that event. You would have disabled that threat. That's not what we're doing. We're doing it after, because this is how you half-ass things in Seattle. Get the cameras up, and then you don't turn them on. We're not going to turn them on. I think Katie Wilson's going to get forced to have to turn those cameras on, because the liability is too extreme. We've already got our Seattle City Council Public Safety Committee Chair, Bob Kettle. He basically came right out and said, I believe that she is not operating according to the ordinances, the law with respect to the stadium ordinances, and her duties under the charter. I mean, you've got an obligation that if you've got cameras up, use the damn things. It's like if you put these toilets in place and you told people, hey, I know you really got to go, let's be funny, number one or number two, priorities. But we're waiting for a credible threat. You can't use these toilets. It makes no sense, right? You've got the cameras in place. Public safety is a thing. This idea that DHS, Customs and Border Protection, need to use footage from a Seattle camera, from a Seattle, closed circuit TV is so dumb. It's they don't want to give up. Even more people are going to get deported in Seattle. News story I was reading this morning was in Issaquah, which is 8 miles to the south and east of where I am. It's on I-90. It's getting towards the foothills of the Cascade Mountains. There was a dude there, Garcia, something like that. Well, he's a criminal illegal, and he was doing about $3 million worth of drug trafficking into this area of Seattle, into Pike and Pine and 3rd, into 12th and Jackson, into Seattle. He was basically thousands and thousands of pills. 100 kilo this, 100 kilo that, 100 kilo that of coke, meth, Betty, into Seattle. Criminal illegal. Those are the kind of people that we need to encourage DHS to get out of our system. And if perchance they happen to need some TV cameras, is that the world's worst thing? No. So the criminal I'm talking about, that's a Mexican national that is illegal in the United States, who's running $3 million a month of just craziness into Seattle from Issaquah. That's where he was renting a house. The idea that we shouldn't use every single tool at our disposal to toss that criminal out to protect the citizens, such as they are in Seattle, to me is just bonkers. It's absolutely nutty. But that's the state of the union here in Seattle right now. But hey, let's go ahead and book a match on the pitch between Iran, Egypt, in a city like Seattle, where they fly the pride flag. I'm sure it's going to work out fine. Sure, it'll be fine. One country executes people from the LGBTQ community. The other, they merely arrest them. Sometimes they'll drag them behind a truck. See how long they last. Not doing well. Weird. Let's drag them over some gravel. Seattle thinks it's a great idea to book that match and then fly the pride flag out in front of Lumen Field. What could go wrong? Whilst you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see you in the news.